The elders had one rule: never challenge humanity. But they thought they knew better. They thought their power was unmatched. They thought wrong. You woke the wrong beast, Sergeant Chloe Steele whispered, staring into the depths of space as the first elder ship broke through Earth's atmosphere. The rule had been carved into the quantum fabric of elder consciousness 17,000 years ago. Not written, not spoken, but burned into their collective memory by an event so traumatic it had reshaped their entire civilization. The details had been deliberately obscured, classified at levels beyond even their ruling council. Only the rule remained: never challenge humanity. But time erodes all things, even fear. High Elder ZYX Theta stood in the crystalline throne room of the Eternal Citadel, his form shifting between states of matter as his thoughts churned. Around him, the younger elders, a mere 3,000 years old, buzzed with anticipation. The humans have expanded too far, Subelder K.R. Wine declared, his essence pulsing with indignation. 7 colonies in the outer spiral. They spread like a virus. A virus we were warned not to antagonize, Elder Morvain reminded them, though his tone lacked conviction. ZYX Theta silenced them with a gesture. The old fears were from a different age. We have transcended matter itself. We have witnessed the birth and death of stars. What could one young species do against such power? It was the arrogance of ages speaking. The elders had ruled the galaxy when humanity's ancestors were still debating whether to leave the trees. They had achieved immortality, bending reality to their will, ascending beyond the physical constraints that bound lesser beings. Send the heralds, ZYX Theta commanded. Let Earth know their time of expansion ends. They will submit to our guidance or face correction. The rule shattered like glass, its fragments scattering across 17,000 years of cautious coexistence. On Earth, Sergeant Chloe Steele was in the middle of a training exercise when the sky changed colors. The blue turned to gold, then to a sickening purple that made her teeth ache. The newer recruits stopped and stared. Chloe didn't. Defensive positions, she barked, her voice cutting through their awe. Whatever's coming, gawking won't stop it. She'd been preparing for this moment for 20 years, ever since she'd first read the classified files about humanity's true history. The wars they didn't teach in school. The enemies that had been erased so thoroughly that only whispers remained. The reason Earth's military never truly stood down, even in times of peace. The herald ships materialized above every major city, their forms defying physics, geometric impossibilities that hurt to perceive directly. They spoke in unison, their message burning itself into every human mind. Children of Earth, your expansion ends. Your aggression ceases. You will accept elder guidance or face the consequences of defiance. You have one rotation to comply. In the emergency bunker beneath Geneva, Earth's leaders gathered. Presidents, generals, scientists, all looking to each other for answers none of them had. Can we fight them? President Martinez asked. General Thompson's laugh was bitter. Fight them? We can't even understand what they are. Our weapons are designed for enemies that obey physics. Then we surrender, suggested Ambassador Chun. Live to fight another day. No. Chloe's voice cut through the debate. She'd been summoned as Earth's leading expert on asymmetric warfare, though her real expertise lay elsewhere. We don't surrender. We can't. Sergeant, you've seen the data. They're essentially gods. They're afraid of us. Chloe pulled up a hologram, ancient symbols that predated human written history. These were found in the Mars ruins, pre-Sumerian. They're warnings, but not to us. To them. About us. The room fell silent. 17,000 years ago, something happened. Something that made the most powerful race in the galaxy create a rule about avoiding us. And they just broke that rule. Chloe's smile was sharp as a blade. They forgot why they made it. Time to remind them. With what army? Thompson demanded. What weapons? With the only weapon that's ever mattered, Chloe replied. Human nature. 24 hours later, the elders arrived in force. Not just ships now, but the beings themselves, energy given form, consciousness without constraint. They descended on Earth like inverse angels, their presence warping reality around them. ZYX Theta himself led them, his form a shifting kaleidoscope of possibilities. He addressed the world with a thought that resonated in every mind. Your time has passed. Submit. The response came not from Earth's leaders, but from its people. 6 billion voices, speaking as one. No. The elders had expected fear. They had expected negotiation. They had not expected the entire human race to simultaneously refuse. Then you have chosen extinction. HFY declared, raising what might have been an arm. Energy gathered around him, enough to crack continents. That's when the children started singing. It began in Tokyo, a kindergarten class singing a nursery rhyme. The tune spread like wildfire, picked up by voices across the globe. A simple melody, almost instinctive, that human parents had sung to their children for millennia without knowing why. The elders froze. Impossible, HFY whispered. That frequency. How do you know that frequency? Chloe Steele stood on the roof of the UN building, facing the elder host without fear. You want to know why your ancestors made that rule? Why beings who could reshape reality itself chose to avoid one small, primitive species? She pulled out a device, nothing fancy, just a modified acoustic resonator. But when she activated it, amplifying the children's song, the elders recoiled as if burned. Because 17,000 years ago, you tried to harvest us. You saw primitive humans and thought, easy prey. But you didn't understand what we were. Chloe's voice carried across the psychic link the elders had established. We weren't just another species. We were evolution's answer to predators like you. The song grew louder, its frequency matching something deep in elder physiology, or what passed for physiology in beings of pure energy. Around the globe, humans instinctively joined in, their voices creating a harmonic weapon that no technology could replicate. You evolved past your bodies, past your limits, Chloe continued. But we evolved something else. Call it stubborn defiance. Call it collective unconscious. Call it the ability to turn anything, even a lullaby, into a weapon when our children are threatened. HFY tried to marshal his power, but the song was everywhere now, vibrating through dimensions the elders thought only they could access. His form began to destabilize, oscillating between states. This is what your ancestors discovered, Chloe said, her voice hard as diamond. We don't need technology to match yours. We don't need to transcend physics. We just need to be human. And humans, when pushed, will find a way to push back with everything, even our nursery rhymes, even our lullabies, even the songs we don't remember learning. The lesser elders began to flee, their forms unraveling as the song reached crescendo. But HFY held on, his pride warring with growing fear. You cannot. We are eternal. We are a. You're afraid, Chloe interrupted. Just like your ancestors were. They came as conquerors and left as refugees, carrying back one lesson: never challenge humanity. Not because we're stronger, not because we're smarter, but because we're the only species insane enough to weaponize love itself. The song shifted, no longer just from children but from parents, soldiers, workers, every human voice adding to a frequency that spoke of protection, defiance, and the absolute refusal to yield when their world was threatened. HFY's form finally shattered, reforming at a safe distance. The other elders huddled behind him, their arrogance replaced by ancestral terror. The rule. He gasped, his mental voice weak. Now I understand the rule. Then go, Chloe commanded, and her voice carried the weight of 6 billion souls. Return to your citadel. Reinforce your rule. Carve it deeper this time so your descendants don't make the same mistake in another 17,000 years. The elders fled, beings who had watched stars die, running from a species that had barely touched the void. As they retreated, HFY sent one final message. What are you? Chloe's response followed them into the dark. We're the species that survives. Not through power or transcendence, but through something you abandoned in your evolution, the willingness to be beautifully, terrifyingly human. We're the reminder that some rules exist for a reason. As the last elder ship vanished into quantum foam, humanity's song faded to silence. Cities were damaged but not destroyed. Lives were disrupted but not lost. The elders had been reminded why their rule existed. In the aftermath, as world leaders struggled to process what had happened, Chloe stood with her team, watching the stars. Think they'll stay away this time? Lieutenant Torres asked. For another 17,000 years, maybe, Chloe replied. Maybe longer. Depends on how well they remember. And if they forget again? Chloe smiled, the expression carrying generations of human stubbornness. Then we'll remind them. As many times as it takes. That's what we do. We survive, we adapt, and when something threatens our home. She paused, looking at the damaged but defiant cities below. We become the nightmare that nightmares fear. The classified files were updated that night, adding one more chapter to humanity's hidden history. But the lesson was older than writing, older than civilization itself. There are monsters in the universe, beings of unimaginable power and alien intent. But in all the dark corners of space, in all the dimensions beyond human understanding, there was nothing more dangerous than a human protecting what they loved. The elders had rediscovered this truth. They wouldn't forget again. And somewhere in a kindergarten in Tokyo, children sang their nursery rhyme, unaware they just won a war with a lullaby. The same lullaby their ancestors had created 17,000 years ago when the first elders had learned why some species were better left alone. Humanity didn't conquer through strength. They conquered through the simple, terrifying fact that they never forgot how to be human. And in a universe full of gods and monsters, that was the most powerful weapon of all. We don't break, Chloe whispered to the stars, her words a promise and a warning. We don't bend. We just remember who we are, and we remind anyone who forgets. Humans are the only species that can turn love into war and lullabies into weapons. We're not just survivors, we're the reason survival evolved teeth.